standing by is Caddo Commissioner Mr. Lyndon Johnson. Hey, Mr. Lyndon, how are you today? Thank you for joining us.
I'm good. How are you doing?
So let's start with the Confederate monument. Things, in your opinion, seem to be moving a little slowly. Explain what you mean and what you want to happen.
The issue came up with the Caddo commissioners over a year ago. It went to a committee. Committee sat on it for a little while, and then they came up with having an advisory committee. The advisory committee has been on it for 9 months. So they've had some public meetings, and then once they got the public input, they've had some more meetings on top of that. With 9 months to do that, I mean, it's easy to come up with a decision. And I think that some of the commissioners are just trying to prolong this as long as possible so they don't have to vote on it.
What was the original purpose of the advisory commission?
It was just to get public input, and then to come up with some type of executive summary from all of those inputs that they got. One thing that I found out about some of the public meetings is that you had a core group of people going to the same meeting. So they were saying the same thing at each one of those meetings.
So the $64,000 question, I guess, is the big question is, does the Caddo Commission have the power to move the Confederate monument or order it removed?
Yes.
The ownership of the land is at issue. Is that accurate or not?
Well, the ownership, some people are saying a handshake was the deal back in the day. But if you go and look at legal documents, the documents still show that it still belongs to the parish.
And yet, and I forget the legal term, but it's if you occupy land for 10 years, it's legally yours. Don't you think the Daughters of the Confederacy are going to stand on that?
They probably will, but at the same time, if you go back and do title search, and the title search shows that it was belonged to the parish, it's the parish.
Let me ask you this. I know you don't want to spend tax dollars fruitlessly, legal fights, etc. Is a compromise even something in your brain where we build another monument maybe on the other side of the courthouse as sort of a compromise, or is that not even an option for you?
That's the same thing as moving it. I mean, you're still using taxpayers' dollars to build another monument, so why do that? Just go ahead and move it and put it somewhere in which it could be honored the way that it should be.
When you say honored the way that it should be, obviously you don't think it should be honored at all, though, right?
Well, not in front of a courthouse. I mean, we have 3 courthouses in Shreveport. You got city courthouse, parish courthouse, and a federal courthouse. And in the other 2 courthouses, you don't have a monument like that.
Explain to us and the listeners, what is your philosophical and moral argument that it should be moved?
You have Caddo Parish employees that's offended by that statue. You have citizens of Caddo that's offended by that statute. And you shouldn't have something that's there that offends people as they go into our courthouse. It should just be, when you go in, it should be an unbiased building.
Pardon me, Mr. Lyndon, but offensive, isn't that sort of like this college campus safe space, trigger warning kind of thing? Doesn't something have to be more than just offensive?
I think that's all you need when you have a public building.
Would you agree, though, that a lot of things from history are offensive?
Some things are, and they have their place. So if you put that into a museum, then people pay to go to the museum to see it.
So what's the cost of moving if all this ends up in your in your favor? We don't know how the commission will end up voting. If all this ends up in your favor, where is it going to go and what will the cost be?
We don't know the cost yet. We will have to bring in someone who is specialized in moving monuments. We can basically call New Orleans, really, to find out who they use and use those guys.
We've heard maybe as much as $1 million. Would that surprise you?
I wouldn't think it would be that high.
Should we put any other monuments at the courthouse that might be offensive to any groups?
No.
So a civil rights monument, you would say maybe not?
No.
Nothing like that. We shouldn't put anything at the courthouse that could stir any kind of controversy?
No. We should.
So you're going to vote Thursday to disband the Citizens Advisory Committee, and are you hoping to get to a vote to remove the monument?
Yes, I am.
And how many other commissioners are on your side? Is it going to be close, or do you have any clue yet?
Got to tune in to find out, because you never know on some of them.
If, assuming for the moment that the commission votes along with you that the monument should be removed, how many taxpayer dollars is the commission willing to spend in a legal fight?
We'll have to approach that when we get to it. There might be a legal fight. There might not be a legal fight. Might just be a bluff. Who knows? We don't know.
In the sense of offensiveness, and we're talking to Caddo Commissioner Lyndon Johnson, in the sense of offensiveness, 10 being that thing has got to go, 1 to 10, how bad is this monument to you?
It's probably about 7.5 to 8.
The worst in our community? Are there others that trouble you as well?
There are in locations in which they should be in. I wouldn't put a Martin Luther King statue in Broadmoor. I mean, because some people in Broadmoor would probably feel that would be offensive to them.
There are two streets downtown, Travis and Fannin, and I asked Lloyd Thompson the same question a while back. Two streets downtown, Travis and Fannin, Alamo heroes, if you will, and they were both slave owners. Should those street names be changed?
If no one puts up a fight, no.
So it doesn't trouble you as long as it's not something that's bothering the community.
Right.
Big day Thursday. Y'all are going to be talking a lot about it. I'm sure it'll be a long meeting.
It probably will be. Get your popcorn out and sit back and relax.